Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on another high-end pistol. This is the Athena by Atlas Gunworks. And as you can probably tell, this is another 2011 or double stack 1911 magazine chambered in 9mm. Now, what this gun actually is kind of a point of contention lately on my channel, because I have reviewed a lot of guns like this, and I have used the term double stack 1911. And then people say, no, it's a 2011. Well, then I started to use the term 2011, and then people would say, no, only STI can use the term 2011 because they've trademarked that name. So I might use these two terms interchangeably. So if you don't like one, well, don't get your panties in a twist. It's either a 2011 clone or it's a double stack 1911 chambered in 9mm. So that's what this is. And once again, this is the Athena by Atlas Gunworks. So before I get into the things that I like and don't like about this particular gun, I want to thank the people that always make these range reports possible. First and foremost is the owner of this very fine pistol, and he's a local subscriber and great friend of the channel. His name is D. Well, that's just his first initial. It's all he wants to go by. So thank you, D, for lending this to the channel and giving me the opportunity to shoot it. I also want to thank my Patreons, as always, because through their monthly donations and support, especially now as my channel has once again been demonetized by YouTube, their monthly donations and support go a long way in helping me keep this content coming. And I always want to thank my primary sponsor who provides all of the ammunition for these range reports, my good friend Mark from Gunworks. As I mentioned, as a demonetized channel, man, these videos can get a little bit expensive to make, especially when I'm turning out so many range reports. So having a sponsor like Gunworks means so much. But having a sponsor like Gunworks is easy because they make some of the finest grips on the market out of a number of different exotic woods for a wide variety of firearms, are just top of the line. I have seen many of his grips in person. I have many pictures of Mark's fine work. And let me tell you, every time he produces something new, it is innovative, beautiful, and unique. And that's the cool thing about what he offers as services. He can put on custom logos and engravings. He can produce grips for a wide variety of firearms and guns that you might have a hard time finding grips for elsewhere. He's always coming out with new services. For example, magazine engraving for AR-15s and AK-47s, as well as now I know, because I've done a video on his prototypes of wood grips for AR-15s. You guys need to go check out that video. Gunworks is an innovative company that makes some very high quality grips and other products. And I want you guys to go check out his website. I'm going to put a link in the description below. And as a pinned comment, please go over there, see what he has to offer. If you don't find something that you're looking for, make sure to contact Mark. Thank him for supporting the Texas Gun Vault. And please tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. All right, so let's talk about the Athena by Atlas Gunworks. Now, I can tell you from just handling this firearm here on the workbench, this might be what I think is the nicest built 2011 pistol I have reviewed. The fit and the finish of this is really nice. Now, the other guns that I have reviewed have been exceptional, but there's just something about this one that stands out, from the gloss black finish on many of the internal parts like the barrel to just whatever type of nitride finish they have on the slide, and even to the grip module, which I believe is either metal or it's a very nice polymer, but I think this one is metal, and it's built really well. I don't see any machine marks whatsoever. It just seems to be built like a tank, and every part seems to be hand fit and hand polished. It definitely seems to be a cut above many of the other guns that I have reviewed. Some other small things that I really like is I do like the slide cutouts or lightning cuts in the side of the slide. Let me see if I can get that in focus there. Yeah, sometimes they're just cosmetic, but here they're actually cut through and you can see the barrel in there. That is a very nice touch. I think some companies kind of take a cheap way and kind of make it look like they're cut out, but they're not, but those are. I really like the fact that this gun has backup iron sights. So if you're using a red dot sight like this Trijicon SRO and it happens to go down, you do have iron sights that are built into the gun and on that optics plate, so you can co-witness and still have iron sights. Now I know a lot of other 2011s have that as well, but that is an awesome feature on this firearm. Another thing about this gun that I really like is the magazine release. Now some of the other 2011 style pistols that I have reviewed, just because the size of the grip module, I've had a hard time reaching them with my thumb. The button here is very small, but I can reach it really easily. So I think that is well designed and well thought out. I also like the fact that this magwell is not overly big or complex. Some of the other 2011 pistols that I've shot have just had crazy big magwells on there, and I didn't like that. So this one does not get in the way. It doesn't bother my pinky there at all. I can also tell you this gun has a really good feeling trigger. Now it might not be the best 2011 trigger I've ever shot, but it definitely feels predictable, and we're going to test that out when I do get it to the range. So far I really like the way this gun looks and the way it feels here on the table. But now let's talk about just a couple of things that I don't like. And the first one for me is kind of a big one, and that is going to be the grip texture of this module. Now, I do believe this is an aluminum grip module where many of them are polymer, but the texture on this uses these little pyramids or diamonds. And let me tell you, this is a very aggressive texture. And because I believe it is aluminum, they are kind of sharp. Now, I know a lot of people on these race guns really want that texture. And some of the guns, I think, kind of parse between comfort and grippiness really well. This is a very grippy, but a very sharp texture. I really don't like that. I'm sure they offer other options, but this is the one that I'm reviewing. And I think in general, it's a little bit too much, especially for a 9mm pistol. Now, the other thing about this gun that I've kind of griped about with other 2011s that people tell me I get wrong, and yes, I do read all of your comments and I do try to learn, and sometimes I learn a lot from you. And one of the things that I have griped about on these 2011 pistols that I said I don't like are these safety levers. I go, the side on the left side of the gun is just too big, and then everyone says, no, you're missing the point of those. Those aren't necessarily safeties, it's a gas pedal. And I'm like, what in the world is a gas pedal? Well, what they're saying is you take your thumb and you rest it up there and you can push down on it, and it helps you push the gun forward and fight the recoil of the firearm. Now, I have never thought about using my safety lever for that and putting pressure in the direction it's not supposed to go. Another thing about that I don't like, and when people told me about that, I kind of pulled these back out and tried it, is the fact that I got kind of a big old fat thumb, and I talk about that. My hands are kind of big and my fingers are kind of round. You know, I got big sausage fingers. And so when I put my thumb up here, I don't really have that much room, and if it gets too close to the slide, I can feel the slide rubbing up against the side of my thumb, and I'm worried that that's going to slow down the action of the slide and might cause malfunctions. I really don't want my finger up there. Now, I know that I could probably practice to keep my thumb up there, pushing down and out of the way. It doesn't feel very natural, but my thumb is so thick, it just rubs on those cocking serrations of that slide, and I don't like that very much. So if it is a gas pedal, well, great. I still don't like it. I still feel like I accidentally actuate this safety way too easy. It's a little bit too big, and for me, having it as a gas pedal or thumb rest, it just doesn't make any ergonomic sense. And so that's really the only things about this gun so far that I would say that I would want to change out or that I don't like, but everything else is just awesome. So I want to get this to the range now. So I'm going to put its first magazine through this. Now these magazines hold 20 rounds. So I'm going to load up one of these things. I'm really anxious to see how this thing shoots. It seems to be such a well-built pistol. Well, I'm expecting it to shoot really nice as well. So I'm going to set up the target at 7 yards, put 20 rounds to this thing. I'm going to make sure the red dot is 0, just see how it feels in my hand, see if I have any issues with malfunctions, how accurate it is, and what I think about it. So far this gun is shooting really well. As you can see, maybe I had a little bit of problems with elevation, and I think that's coming from the trigger. The trigger is definitely very nice, but the reset is longer than I was expecting and longer than most of the other 2011 pistols that I've shot, and the take-up is a little bit heavier. It's not gritty, it's just a little bit heavy. Now, when it hits the wall, it breaks pretty predictably, but I think my elevation issue has to do with that take-up, so I definitely need a little bit more practice with this. I'm now going to set up the target at about 15 yards, doubling the distance. I'm going to see what happens to this group when I shoot for the head on this silhouette target. So let's see what happens to the group and if I get used to this trigger anymore. At the further distance, I actually think I tighten up my group there a little bit more because I'm getting used to that trigger. Something that I'm not noticing that is bothering me that I thought would is the grip texture. So this gun has almost no recoil whatsoever. It is a very soft shooting firearm. And so this grip texture, I think, still is a little bit overdone, but it's not bothering me as much as I thought it would. I actually kind of thought if this thing was chambered in 40 or 45, it might actually begin to hurt, but with 9mm and almost no recoil, it's perfectly fine. I would still want something a little bit less aggressive, but it's not bothering me in the least. But speaking of that grip texture, I'm gonna give my wife a chance to shoot this now. I'm gonna set her up with a fresh magazine and a fresh target, see how she shoots it and what she thinks. But already she is telling me she doesn't like the way this grip texture looks. You know, I always tell you she is a little grip texture sensitive. She doesn't like her hands to hurt or have any indentations on them after she shoots. Maybe I need to get her some shooting gloves. But that's the only concern she has going into this. So I'm gonna load up a magazine, put a fresh target out, and see what she thinks and see how she shoots it. And okay, she shot it really well. In fact, she shot it better than I did. Her group was really centered and very tight. The only thing she had was one flyer. Now, after shooting it, she still said she hated the grip texture, but that she liked the fact that she shot it so well. Now, standing behind the gun filming that for her, there was something that I did notice about this. It does have a little bit of erratic ejection. Most of the time it's ejecting to about the 5 o'clock position, but there were a couple times it ejected to the 6 and even the 3. It's not very consistent. So I don't know if that is just an extractor issue. Maybe this gun is just super brand new, which by the way, it definitely looks like it. I don't know how many rounds D has put through this, but maybe it just needs to be broken in a little bit more. We're not having any failures to eject or failures to feed, no issues like that. But anytime a gun is ejecting erratically, it's just something to watch out for. But so far, no issues, and it's just something that I noticed from standing behind the firearm. All right, so the next test I'm going to do is the quick magazine change. Now remember, I am not a competition shooter. I always try to test these guns from the perspective of maybe someone that's getting into competitive shooting or someone that might be using this gun for self-defense. Essentially, I want to see if I can shoot this gun fast, drop the magazine, reinsert a new magazine, and get the gun back into action as fast as I possibly can. Sometimes these guns are easier to do than others, and I think it's a very important data point for some people, simply because I'm an average shooter. So if I can do this well, if you train and do this kind of stuff, you can do it even faster. So I'm going to load up 2 magazines with about 5 to 7 rounds each. I'm going to shoot this gun as fast as I can, see what happens when I change this magazine fast. Okay, so that was unexpected. I have never had a firearm fail in this way. And what happened was, when I was reinserting the fresh magazine, it was twisted just a little bit. Normally these jet funnels and the mag wells and the beveling really guide that magazine in. But if it was just twisted just enough, it actually got caught and it sticks. And I can do it here with barely any effort whatsoever. So I can barely turn it in, twist it just a little bit, and it gets stuck. Now if it gets past that point, it will insert, but I was trying to do this kind of fast, and there it goes again. Yeah, that is not good. It was really surprising. And it's not like it has to be twisted that much. Now, the whole point of having these jet funnels or mag wells is to guide that magazine in there. Now, the tolerances on these guns are really tight. And so maybe this grip module, because it's made of aluminum, is a little bit tighter than maybe the polymer ones. Because I can tell you, when that mag is in there, you don't really get that much play whatsoever. But I went in there kind of fast and it got stuck. I was not expecting that. So I'm going to try this test again, and I'm going to be very aware of that. I'm going to take a little bit more time and try to get that magazine in there a little bit more straight. But I think that's something that's important for people to know when they buy this gun or are looking at this gun, especially if they're going to use it for competitive shooting. It just seems to be a little bit easy to get that magazine stuck on insertion. And that can definitely slow you down, because I know in the competitive games, well, those thousandths of a second can really matter. But now that I'm aware of that, I'm going to try it again and see if I can avoid that issue and see how fast I can shoot it. And that one went as expected, but of course I was aware and thinking about 2 things. Number 1 was that magazine insertion, making sure it was going in straight, and making sure my thumb was away from that safety. As I've mentioned, I don't like using the safety levers as a gas pedal, and I'm trying to keep my thumb away from that because I don't want it to rub on the cocking serrations of the slide. So it's a lot of thinking when you're trying to shoot fast. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, but I think the gun performed admirably and really well, and I can tell you this trigger wants to be shot fast. And that comes to the last video I'm going to show you. This gun just seems to want to run fast, which means it's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to load up one of these magazines and just simply shoot this gun as fast as I possibly can. So this is more of just me having fun than actually testing the gun, because who doesn't love to shoot a gun really fast? Gotta love mag dumps. So here's one for you. Man, can this gun run fast. This is a fantastic trigger. It might not be the very best trigger I've ever shot in a 2011, but it's definitely one of the nicest and most predictable, so I really like that. Now, what happened on that last round is I think I had a light primer strike. I don't know if that was a failure on the round or the gun itself. I tend to think in this case it was the ammo, because when I did look at that cartridge, it had a pretty good strike on the primer. It just didn't go bang. So I'm going to blame that one on the ammo and not on the firearm. So what are my final thoughts on the Athena by Atlas Gunworks? Well, I have had the honor of shooting a number of these 2011 pistols because people have lent them to the channel for review. And so the more that I shoot them, the more I appreciate them and the more kind of data points that I get to compare and contrast. And I'm going to say this, that when it comes to the build quality of all the 2011s that I have handled so far, this one might be my favorite. Now I will say the Nighthawk custom one might be the best, but this one might be my favorite. I think this one does, though, rival the Nighthawk when it comes to its build quality. It is really exceptional, and I know it's not coming across on camera how nice this gun is finished and how nice it is fit together. Now, when it comes to its trigger and its performance, while I don't think this is the best shooting 2011, I think it's the second best shooting 2011 that I've shot. The best one by far was the Masterpiece Arms. I believe that one was the DS9 Hybrid. I'd have to go back and double check. I probably should have made a note about that. But that Masterpiece Arms one, I think shot the best for me. But this one might come in second place overall. It really has exceeded my expectations when it comes to its accuracy and performance and shootability, because the grip module is nice. With the exception of the texture, I can reach that magazine release, which I like. I would really only want to change a couple of things, maybe put on a smaller safety lever, because I'm not going to use this as a thumb rest. It's just not comfortable for me with my big old fat fingers. And the only issue I had when shooting it possibly was the erratic ejection, which I don't like, and of course the magazine getting caught a little bit on insertion that one time, just like that right there. So it's a little bit too easy to do that. So I think that maybe they need to change the dimensions of that mag well just a little bit to prevent issues like that on fast reloading. So overall on my star system, how would I rate the Athena by Atlas Gunworks? Well, this thing exceeded my expectations, but still had issues. So it's going to get a solid 4.5 stars out of 5. This is a gun that I would seriously be looking at if I was getting a 2011 style pistol. I am really impressed with it. I love the looks of it. I like how everything is designed and put together, and I even like the theme. Atlas obviously is invoking like Greek mythology, and I believe all of their different models are based off of Greek mythological characters. So that to me is just kind of neat. Plus, it just shoots really, really well and seems to be so well built. So 4.5 stars out of 5, a really awesome review for a really awesome gun. If you guys ever get a chance to handle one of these and shoot one of these, I would highly recommend it. So thank you, Dee, for lending it to the channel. This is one that I'm not gonna really want to give back because this one shoots so darn nice. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to review it. So what do you guys think? Do you own an Atlas Gunworks firearm? What do you think of their build quality? Do your experiences mirror mine? I would love to know in the comment section below. So, as always, thanks for watching.